What is up, Oluchi Okananwa? We've got a Maryland women's hooper on the podcast today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I am so pumped to talk to you, and I know there's a lot of basketball that you have been up to, and I love asking people all about their sport. But I also think it's fun to know what someone's currently on or all about at the moment. Maybe it's a food, a new spot you have, a life hack you've been figuring out, or just a routine that you're into. So, what are you all about right now?
So right now, I'm all about my pink Awala, and specifically, I don't know if you've heard about this electrolyte brand Element, and the
Yes.
flavor is citrus.
Okay.
I drink at least like 3 of those packs a day.
Good. Hey, well, it's working, so keep doing
Exactly.
it. I maybe I should start doing it, and
Yeah.
I'll go sing some threes somewhere. But no, that's awesome, and you're not the first guest on the What's It podcast actually who's talked about Element. Can you maybe just share a little bit more about? Is that something that's in the locker room? Is that something you found on your
Yeah.
own? When did you get into Element?
Yeah, so I actually spoke to our team nutritionist here. There's a lot of different like electrolyte brands. Really, what I was used to in the past was Drip Drop, but I felt like it was a little too sugary for me. So I did some research, found Element, saw a lot of great reviews, and I brought it to him, and he was like, "Sure, we can add it to the locker room." So now I just deal all the citrus flavors in the locker room and
There
keep
you
them for
go.
myself.
Well, I'm sure everyone else is happy that you installed that as well. But yeah, I think it's fun to know what everyone's currently doing. Like you said, you're doing it 3 times a day, which is
Yeah,
so good. I have a problem where I eat the same thing or I do the same supplement or whatever it is, or have the same bar.
yeah.
Or like I basically have it too much and then I can never see it again for like 3 years.
Exactly. No,
So
that is
hopefully
exactly how I am. I, like, find things that I just get addicted to, and then when I'm done with them, I'm done with them.
you're done with it. You'll resurface maybe later in a few years after. But for right now, it's the pink. What was it? The citrus you said?
Yeah, citrus flavor.
Citrus
Mhm.
flavor, that is what you are all about right now. And I do
Yes.
have to ask you because I've also heard a nickname that you have, and maybe people even think it could be your real name because I've seen it so much. Is it Gucci Lucci? I gotta
Yeah.
ask you about this because I did see you have a segment called Stylin' with Lucci, and I
Yeah.
think it is so cool. So would you mind just describing what this is?
Yeah, so, well, Gucci Lucci, that nickname for me actually originated in middle school. Like, my best friends of now 10 years, they kind of just started calling me it because so the slang back then, like the "What's Gucci?" or "Everything's
Yes.
Gucci with
Yes.
Lucci. So, it's just like
That's
it was
Gucci
kind of
fam. That's Gucci
yeah.
fam.
Oh my gosh, so cringy, honestly. But yeah, it kind of originated with that, and obviously everyone knows that my fashion love is something that is so deep, and it's like the Gucci brand. So it just all fit together of Gucci Lucci, and of course it rhymed. So
It's so
naturally, it had to
good.
come to fruition.
So this is a long time nickname. This isn't just
Oh
a
yeah,
new this that is so cool that it has really originated by your middle school friends. I
yeah.
love that. And can you speak a little bit to the Stylin' with Lucci content that you've posted?
Yeah. Well, going back again to my love for fashion, at my previous school, one of my old teammates, she was just like, "Why don't you style us?" Because everyone on the team knew how much I loved fashion, how much I loved styling, and I was like, "Okay," and I got straight to it right away, and then it kinda just became this bigger thing, and it was like, "Wow, I love doing this," and most importantly, I'm a firm believer that you need something outside of your sport. You need to take the time to find who you are when you're not in your uniform. And for me, I think this is a great outlet for me. It's something different that I get to do that has nothing to do with dribbling the basketball, and gets to showcase other parts of me.
I love that. It is so important, right? Just to
Yeah.
help, and it actually helps you on the basketball court when you're able to pour yourself into other ways and do things that you love as well. I did see one outfit that you had. I think it was maybe just a photo shoot, but it was a blouse button up with like jewels on like down the buttons or
Oh
something.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
so cool. I loved it. So that was probably the favorite thing that I've seen. But do you have a highlight from just doing these different pieces of content?
I don't. It's hard to choose just one. I love all of them. Like every time I get to put that together and I get to be in front of the camera talking about clothes and styling and whatnot. It's my favorite moment right then and there.
So fun. Well, I'm excited to keep up with it and see not just pregame fits, but whatever you're coming up with your styling with Lucci segment. But I would love to know a little bit more about just this Maryland basketball team. So,
Mhm.
what's this team like before game day? Are you all super serious? Is it loud in the
Yeah.
locker room, dancing? What's it like?
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite things that I love that we do before every game, we hold chapel, and we actually go through scripture and pray and just talk about Christ to kind of get us in that, I don't want to say relaxed moment, but it just gets us into a moment of like we're playing because of him. Like without his works, without him intervening in each and every one of our lives, we wouldn't be able to play the sport that we love so much. So that's one of my favorite moments that we do. And then of course, even closer to game time, we have a full team prayer that we like to say before we actually run out onto the court. So it's great.
That's amazing that you have that ability, number 1, to the space to do that,
Yeah.
and number 2, that it can be most probably of the girls on your team, which is incredible to
Mhm.
not just do that alone, but to do that with your teammates, and so I'd love to know, when did you really start yourself pursuing the Lord?
Yeah. So I am a church girl through and through. I was born into the church, but most certainly I think a lot of other people who were born to the church can attest to it. There's different periods where it actually becomes your own, because being so young, it's like, okay, my parents are taking me here. My mom, she's taking me to church. My mom wants me to do this. My mom wants, you know what I mean? So it's like, it didn't necessarily feel like it was my religion. It just felt like, my mom's, my family's. It's an obligation that I have to do because it's all I've known. But really for me, where I took that next step in my relationship with him was, um, I would definitely say when I went to boarding school. Being away from your parents years before you're naturally supposed to, I think, is really eye opening. And honestly, to be able to have that independence and have everything fall on me where it was like, okay, now I don't have to go to church, I don't have to read my Bible, I don't have to pray, like no one's gonna check me. This is so cool. But then a quick realization of I understand why, my mom and just other men and women of God in my life were so on me to keep up that regimen, to stay involved with the Lord because I quickly found out that no, I cannot do it without him. And strengthening my relationship with him is the best, if not the most important thing I can do for myself right now.
Thank you for sharing all of that, because I think there's such a benefit for you to have done the kind of living in a dorm away from your
Yeah.
family beforehand. And was that at Worcester Academy?
Yeah.
And if
So
you're not from Boston, you're going to call it Worcester, right?
I
It's
know.
Worcester.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. I'm like, it's Worcester. But yeah, so and the funny story about Worcester, my junior year when I just got into Worcester Academy, there was a brother from my church, Boston United Pentecostal Church, that I grew up in. It's all I've known. And he was one of the brothers at that church, and he actually left to become the pastor of a church in Worcester. And it happened to be only 11 minutes away
Wow.
from my boarding school. So, yeah, Pastor Mitchell, Sister Fuchsia, they are amazing humans, and they would pick me up every Sunday to take me to go to church.
Wow.
And they don't even understand. I mean, I've told them before, but that year, what they did for me was so impactful for my relationship with Christ. And I'm indebted to them forever, for sure.
What a cool person and people and relationships that the Lord gifted you with for your time away from your family. I think that is so special, and you also had to go seek that out, right, as well. So like
Yes.
it's on also, whoever you are, getting put into different environments to go and seek the Lord out on your own as well. But I love your story. And when I think about Worcester Academy, I probably don't have the fondest memories, because I
Oh,
went
yeah.
to a high school called the Rivers, and we would always play Worcester in the playoffs. And so
No
I can
way.
confidently say that every single one of my high school basketball seasons were ended in the playoffs at Worcester Academy, mainly
Oh my
because of
goodness.
your girl, Aaliyah Boston. So
Yeah, yeah.
makes sense. But when you think back to just the time at Worcester Academy, do you have a favorite memory?
Oh my gosh. I know I'm gonna sound ridiculous saying this, it just feels like it's ages ago that I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
there in high school. My favorite memory, honestly, I would just have to say the people that I met along the way, you know? I think my relationships, from those 2 years that I was at Worcester Academy were really strong, and I still have them to this day, and I think that they're lifetime bonds, so I'm grateful for Worcester Academy bringing me that,
That's so great. And you
especially with my head coach. That is a lifelong bond, Coach Sherry. I mean, she's the only reason why I went to Worcester Academy to begin with. Um, and yeah, she's amazing.
That's so great. And when you think about really the lessons that you learned from Worcester Academy is,
Mm.
oh, I need to depend on the Lord. I need to invest in my faith
Oh,
and
God.
go to church when I can. How did that help you when you first got to the school that you landed at first at Duke?
Yeah. So it helped me so much in understanding the importance of prioritizing a relationship with Christ. Like, everyone I talk to, like, I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not just saying it to say, like, you need him, period. And I think being able to live a not necessarily unique of a life where it's like I was born to the church, but I wasn't really a part of it for some time, but then I came back, so just having the perspective of I've seen what's out in the world, there's nothing, give your life to Christ, you know? So I think that's what those 2 years at Worcester really taught me, being able to one, even having the luxury to come together in fellowship should never be taken for granted. And the school before I was at Worcester, we were in New Hampshire. It was a little bit in the middle of nowhere. So, one, at the time, I was like, yeah, I don't got to go to church. I can do whatever I want. But also, like, getting to church was pretty difficult, you know? So, that's why I was so incredibly thankful when I transferred to Worcester Academy to be able to have one so close to me and to be picked up by the pastor. And I just made everything that more memorable.
Yeah, that is so important, I think, to say because even just like accessibility, right? You might
Yeah,
be in a spot in the country or at a college that doesn't have a million churches all around. And so it might
exactly.
take or you're a division 1 athlete and you are playing on Sunday, right?
Yeah,
So
which
it
would
might
happen.
yes, right. So it might take going on a YouTube live and logging in that way. And so I just love the story of, all the different seasons that the Lord has brought you through. But you mentioned how important that fellowship is, and you talked about, before your games, what you're able to do with your team. What does that look like maybe outside of the basketball game day for you in college?
Yeah. So well, just personally, like I'm trying to get to church as much as I can, even though it's difficult because like you said, we play on Sundays, which I'm like, oh my gosh, like why? But it is what it is. So we do play on Sundays. Of course, prioritizing him first when I wake up and then before I go to sleep. Like I think like I don't wanna necessarily say bare minimums because I understand, the workings of life and now everything just gets so busy and complicated, and I am 100% one who has missed more than I should and would like to, but I think for me, that's just kinda what helps me on a busy schedule. It's like, okay, when you wake up, just pray, read your scripture, you know what I mean? I like to incorporate books like devotionals. Have you heard of The Awe of God?
No, I need to get on it.
Yeah, it's, just about godly fear, and I love to read that, before going to sleep, and then for waking up, I love reading The Purpose Driven Life, like, that's my morning book, so it's just, like, having those, like, tidbits, and I love to just put on sermons as I'm getting ready. I think it's the easiest way to fill yourself up with His Word, while you're doing what you need to be doing, multitasking, but still being able to stay present with that. So, that's kinda what it looks like for me. Obviously, it's like I'm in different cities all the time, so it's pretty easy to kinda keep that regimen.
Yeah, that is so important and it's so hard to do, like you said,
Yeah.
especially in season. And I even remember sometimes before my season would start feeling like I needed to do like this plus that just to
Yeah.
like kind of build up. Okay, I am preparing myself for the battle that I'm about to walk into. But
Yes.
like you said, basketball's a lot and you're in different cities and you're traveling and all those things. And I think also on top of that, the spotlight is even brighter than it has
Yeah.
ever been before. So, how
Yeah.
have you had to navigate that and really lean on your faith through what is a massive stage that you're playing on?
Yeah, I mean, I just default everything to him because, to be honest, I'm not really doing anything. And I think, like, not just talking about that mindset, but truly understanding what it means that everything I have and everything that I am is because of him. It's pretty easy to understand of like this glory. It's not for me. It's for him. It shouldn't go to me. It should go to the one who's actually doing something, which is him. All my talent, everything, even my ability to dribble a basketball came from his will.
In your fashion
Yeah.
taste.
Yes. And my passion. It all came from his will. So it's like, just you know, giving the credit where it's due.
And to come to that realization, it's not always easy, right? Like you have to go through some life to get there.
Yeah.
Is there a specific moment or just time throughout your basketball career where you feel like,
Yeah.
man, the Lord taught me about life through something,
Yeah.
not just basketball?
Yeah, easily my sophomore year in college. It was one of the hardest seasons I've gone through basketball-wise, and in that, my relationship with him. Um, he taught me so much about patience and what it really looks like to have faith in him. I feel like it's so easy nowadays to kind of be like, "Yeah, I trust you." You know what I mean? But it's like, no, you're really gonna have to trust him, and your actions are going to have to be in accordance to that trust and to that faith that you're saying you're putting in him. Because it's like we all come with our own idea of how things are supposed to be, and oh, this is how it's gonna look like for me to get to the success that I want. Easy, simple, but it's like God's like, no, it's not. It's not, and it never was going to because I never said it was going to. It's actually going to look like this. And even though we're both going to end up at the result, because God knows our desires, He knows, what we would like, and with Him, it's like He's like, okay, but it's going to be through my way. One, we have to see if that's the will that he wants for us, point blank, period, which may be hard to grasp sometimes. But then when it's like, okay, like this is something that can be for you, we're gonna get you there, but it's going to be through my plans, through my path, not yours, because you don't even fully know like what everything is. So I think that was my biggest lesson from my sophomore year in college. It was just letting go. And honestly, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulder. Coming to the realization of I don't know everything, nor do I want to. He's got it.
Just knowing that it's freeing, right?
Yeah.
It's, like, stressful in a way because you're
Yeah.
like, "I wanna plan and I wanna know and I want to know if I'm on the right path and this is gonna get me A to B," right? But
Yes.
I think the cool thing about what you said is when you zoom out, you're saying, "I am not God," right?
Yeah.
You're saying, "I thankfully, I'm not God because that'd be
Yeah.
a really hard job," right?
Yeah.
And so, like, just knowing that and knowing his sovereignty over all of your life and that he can do anything, I think is so freeing because you can know that it's not all up to me, right?
No.
And so I think that's what I just loved what you said about really understanding that about Christianity and about following Jesus because it is hard to be a believer and it is hard when you are motivated and you have goals and you want certain things for your life, which is the desires that the Lord knows. And so I love that you bring that up and some dreams that you probably had when you were younger were to get to where you are now, that you're living
Yeah.
right now playing college
Exactly.
basketball. So when you zoom
Exactly.
out and you think about just starting that journey, number 1, when did you first know that you wanted to pursue college basketball?
Yeah. I mean, basketball is just a sport that was always running the family. I'm the last of four, so naturally, my 3 older siblings, they all went through the basketball phase and whatnot. But I think for me, really what it was just it looked like I had a knack for it. My first sport love was gymnastics, but I did grow out of that. But My true sport love is
Hey, I feel like
basketball.
every girl thinks that they're gonna be on the US
Yeah.
gymnastics team. I had a balance beam in my garage, I did the whole thing, and somebody said, "You know, you're too tall," and I think that's also when it hit me.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so I grew too tall out of that, as well, but my true sport love was just basketball. It was there, and it just made so much sense, and I'm so grateful that God led me to this sport.
And when you think to playing basketball consistently for your high school teams or just in the backyard with your siblings, is
Yeah.
there something that sticks out to you that it might have just been fun and games or a stupid drill that you were doing at the time, but you look back, you're like, man, thank gosh I was doing that when I was
Yeah.
growing up?
Easily playing against my 2 older brothers. Like, just with the way I play on the court today, it 100% stems from being an undersized little girl playing against 2 teenage boys. You know, they gave me my grit, they gave me my toughness, and I'm extremely grateful for that.
What was the game when you were outside with your siblings? What were you guys always playing?
21. So it
Okay.
would be, yeah, my 2 older brothers, then me, and, like, just how the game of 21 works, it's basically, like, every man for themselves, you know? So I would be going against 2 guys. So, yeah, it's a great game.
It is a good game, and I have 2 other siblings, so ours would typically be 2v1, and
Oh
I
my
would
gosh.
typically be the one because my
Yeah.
brother and sister would always gang up on me at that point, but it always switched off, like, where the
Yeah.
alliances were and all those things, but, yeah, I think sibling rivalry is the wrong word, but, like, playing with your siblings can be extremely instrumental in who
Yeah.
you are as an athlete. Is there a certain game of 21 or a moment that you remember when you think about playing with them outside?
I'll be honest with you, my memory is just wow. Because
Long time ago, long time
yeah,
ago.
that was a long time. I was a little girl when we were out in the driveway because obviously we graduated from the driveway to, you know, real courts, particularly at the YMCA. We had many, many 2v1 battles there, endless. So it's hard to just choose one because they're all so great, you know?
So fun, and that was in Boston, and
Yeah.
now you are living in Maryland, which are 2 very different cities, so I gotta know, what's that transition been like for you? Obviously, you had, time before Maryland, but just wondering, like, living in a new city, what has that been like for you?
Um, I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, you know, like, "So where do you wanna settle down?" And I was like, "Home. I just wanna go home at this point," because honestly, I mean, Maryland is amazing though, being so close to DC, there's so much things to do, which I really like. But, you know, I just you just miss where you grew up, you know, being away from it for as long as I have now, including my time at boarding school. So it's like I just wanna get back to, uh, being with my family, being that close to so many people that I've grown up with.
For sure, and I think what's special is that when you go away for some time, you get to come
Yeah.
home, and it just feels so great. It's, like,
Yeah,
nostalgic in a way, you do all the old things. Are you a
exactly.
Boston sports fan?
Of course, Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox, Patriot, like, growing up, I mean, and also, of course, like, my dad, my tutor, but, like, sports was constantly a focal point of our lives.
I'm sure, especially growing up in the city of champions must have been
Yeah.
so fun. I moved to Boston towards the end of a lot of their Super Bowl runs
But
and
yeah.
all those things, but I have attended a Red Sox parade and a
Mhm.
Patriots parade, so I feel like
Nice.
I got 2 of those crossed off the dock. I was out of town for the Celtics parade, so that was a
Oh,
bummer, but I think there is something special to being and coming from a city that sports are so championed, but you did mention that you did gymnastics, and I'm
mhm.
wondering, in when you look back, are there any things that you can say, "Man, I'm so glad I didn't just specialize in basketball early on, and it's really helped you who you are the player you are today?"
I mean, well, for one, even my basketball game, people would use the term acrobatic, which
Well, there you
they're
go.
not lying, you know? So, I mean, obviously with gymnastics, I've kept my flexibility, I've kept my kind of activeness within that. And also balance wise, I'm a big person when I get to the paint, playing off of 2 feet. So that's something I guess you could definitely say came from my gymnastics background. But I mean, I've always been a really active kid. So I think being diverse and all that, I mean, I did tennis, soccer, obviously gymnastics, track, like, it was a plethora of sports I played.
Certainly translates, and, I'm excited to now have an eye for that when I watch you play the rest of the season, but just looking at that Maryland women's basketball team, is there a phrase or a motto that your team has really gotten behind this season?
Hmm, trying to think about what, um, Coach B says all the time. What's the term she says all the time? Hmm, I don't know necessarily if we have just one title put up against our identity, because it's an ever-changing season, so it's like we may need to hear different things at different times and whatnot, but I think just the overall understanding of our team is togetherness, and really relying on our chemistry and leaning on one another no matter what the outcome may be for our games or whatever part of the season we're in. I think that would be the best way to describe us for sure.
It definitely changes, I can imagine, through the different weeks that you're playing and before
Yeah.
playoffs and conference play and all
Yeah.
those things, and the togetherness, I think, is an essential part for championship teams, and so
Eh,
when you think about what that looks like, maybe off the court, what is this team like when you're traveling, when you're on the bus, when you're on the plane, team hotel? What are you guys doing? What's it like?
Always cracking like, I kid you not, we're laughing all the time. There's something for us to be laughing about, whether you're hearing it in the locker room, in the back of the bus where we are just acting fools. Yeah, I think we're a funny team too, so that's great to keep things lighthearted.
Who is the funniest teammate that you have?
Oh my gosh.
And you can
There's
say
so
yourself if
many.
it's you. You can say yourself.
There's there's so many. Bree, for sure. Issy, Mir, and I were always laughing about something. Kenny and her unique humor that, like, if you hear it, you'll understand it for sure. But yeah, I think that's honestly just a few, but like any one of us can get the whole team laughing. So it's great.
So much more fun that way, and so now when I watch them play, I'm gonna be thinking that about them, but take me
Uh-huh.
to Oluchi on the court, right? When
Yeah.
you are in your element, you are fighting your battles with your teammates out there. How do you bring maybe your faith or what does that look like into, hey, you're on the court and maybe you need to rely on the Lord in certain
Yeah.
moments of a game?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely need to rely on the Lord with my temper and game. 100%. And it's something that I'm very honest about. And it's like, like never rely on your emotions. So I think for me, I go to him where it's like, okay, calm down. You know what I mean? Like, it's all going to be okay. And most importantly, like, he's so good in the fact that he's shown me so many game situations where it's like, I could be depleted, I could be down, and he's just like, "Have faith," and then we end up winning. I'm like, "Okay, so I was overreacting for that." You know what I mean? So, I mean, I it's honestly an open dialogue between him and I during the game. Most of the time, just me trying to calm myself down with his word and understanding that it's in his hands, and the outcome is going to be exactly the one that he designed.
Thank you for sharing that because you're not the only athlete that deals with getting frustrated and maybe just caring a lot and getting a little heated during a
Yeah,
game, whether it's, against the opponent or it's against the refs or it's against your coach or it's against yourself. Like you're upset about something that you did. And
exactly.
so thank you for sharing that because you're certainly not alone. And I know
Yeah.
I certainly dealt with a lot of that. And when you think about just calling on the Lord in those moments and how that has really helped you. I'm curious to know when you do play and you do get in those moments of intensity in the spotlight and intensity of
Mhm.
my team needs me or I need to make this shot. Is there a specific moment that you can recall of playing in a game, maybe this year, maybe a former year, when you said, man, that was really hard, but it taught me to now, hey, I did that in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's why you're continuing to do it now?
Yeah, I would definitely say last season when I was competing for a tournament championship, and it was the championship game. We had just played like the day before, and it's tired, fatigue, and they started off really hot and on a run, and I was just thinking I remember vividly, I was thinking like, "God, I know you did not bring me here for it to end like this." And honestly, like, I wouldn't necessarily say that, like, that sounded, like, selfish in the moment, but it just I could feel it because he put it on my heart, he put it in my spirit that this game was for us, So, it was just kind of reassuring myself in his plan despite what it looked like, and having faith that it was like, "Okay, we may be down right now. It may look like this is their game and it's over for us, but I just know that he has something bigger. He's planned something more for this moment, and I need to show up for my team."
And when you talk about showing up for your team, when I picture that, I can just see the confidence that oozes out of you that it
Yeah.
probably fires up your teammates. And you're an upperclassman on this Maryland team, and you've seen a lot of basketball. And like you're saying, you're believing that not just for you, but for your program and for
Yeah.
your team to win.
Yeah.
How has your faith maybe impacted your leadership style?
Yeah. Well, for one, my leadership style easily, I am a big person who leads through action. I think I have trouble necessarily with words in terms of I never want to talk too much about doing something. I'd rather just do it, And I think faith wise, I don't need to go back and forth with God on if he's gonna do something, he's gonna show me, So I think that's definitely something that I carry with me over to my leadership style here. It's just kind of like, okay, I know I'm gonna hustle. I know I'm going to do whatever this team needs for me to do. And I don't have to vocalize that. I can just go show that. So I think definitely that connection is kind of what translates with my faith to my leadership style.
Well, I can tell you when your teammates see you go do it and they execute a coaching point or execute something that maybe you did say in an earlier quarter, it's going to fire them up and light them up to do their hardest and work their hardest. But I have one last question for you. Before games, do you wear headphones or no headphones?
Ooh, no headphones.
No
Yeah,
headphones. Okay, so what are
no.
you doing? Take me to the no headphone vibe.
Yeah, so before games, I nap, and it's so instrumental in my pregame routine. Definitely before games, I don't really like to do much. I don't like to talk much. I don't like to be on my phone much. I just want to keep it as plain as I can so I can kind of get into that game mindset. So before every game, I nap. And then I always nap up until it's time for chapel. So I actually nap in the locker room. Then when I wake up, it's chapel time. And then we do our chapel. I get ready, and then boom, we're on the court.
You have the most tranquil, like, peaceful, like,
Yeah.
just soft. I love it, but not soft because
Yeah.
you're in, like, a warrior mindset, and maybe to the outside world, it looks like, "Oh, she's having, like, a quiet, nice morning," and then you come on the court and you are
Yeah. No.
pedal to the metal. I love that.
Exactly.
I love that because I think it shows a lot of maybe younger athletes who are listening to this, "Hey, the one, sitting at your locker, hitting your knees, getting jacked up, listening to, pump up music is one way to do it. But
Yeah.
you have to find out what works for you to be able to play your best because you spend all of your off season training when you're home in your backyard, when you're in the weight room at 5 a.m. Like those are all for the moment that you step on the court. And so
Exactly.
whatever works, you do it. And so you're not only stylish on the court and off the court, but you're stylish inside because of your uniqueness and just following the Lord is so well. And so thank you so much for just sharing your heart. I am so excited to continue to follow your team this season and know what they're all about, know what you're all about. But yeah, you have a new Maryland women's basketball fan cheering you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much.